Hi everyone, you all are watching Punjab Kesari Navodaya Times. मैं हूँ आपके साथ नमिता सचदेव and today we have with us a woman of substance. Yes, I'm talking about beautiful, talented and gorgeous Shaheen Bhatt, who is with us right now. Shaheen, welcome to Punjab Kesari Navodaya Times. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm good, sweetheart. So, first of all, congratulations. Your book, I have never been unhappier, is coming on Audible. तो अब मैं सबसे पहले तो यही जानना चाहूंगी व्हाट डू हैव टू से अबाउट द मीडियम बिकॉज आजकल ये काफी पॉपुलर है कि आप अपनी कहानी ऑडिबल्स के थ्रू एक कहानी के तौर पर सबके सामने ला सकते
I personally love Audible. I love
हैं.
audiobooks.
हम्म.
I find them so convenient.
हम्म.
For me, I'm a huge reader. बचपन
हम्म.
से मैं बहुत I think पाँच या छह साल से मैं पढ़ती आई हूँ. But the thing is, even though I love reading, a lot of people don't have that experience. And even though I love reading, I find it hard sometimes, because you have to take out, time,
हम्म. हम्म.
time निकाल के बैठना पड़ता है. You have to focus. You have to really be in the right sort of mindset, but that's not the case with audiobooks ke sath you can sit anywhere, anytime. You can, when you're in the car, on the way going somewhere, when you're on the treadmill. I personally love to listen to audiobooks when I'm working out. It's just so convenient, and in the palm of your hand, literally, you have somebody, the option to have someone tell you a story, which is so intimate, and it's such a
हम्म.
great way, I feel, to listen to things, to get to learn about new stuff, to listen to people's stories. तो मैं तो बहुत खुश हूँ. मुझे ऑडिबल बहुत पसंद है.
और हमें आप बहुत पसंद है.
Oh, thank you so much.
यू आर सो स्वीट शाहीन.
Thank you so much.
तो शाहीन मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि आपकी जर्नी की शुरुआत के बारे में मैं कहाँ से शुरू करूँ. So you started like, है ना? What do you have to say about your journey? How do you see that?
I mean, तो मेरी journey actually, when it comes to depression, काफी straightforward है.
हम्म.
Since I was 12 years old, I have lived with
हम्म.
depression. मुझे तब तो पता नहीं था कि जो मैं भुगत रही हूँ वो डिप्रेशन है. मुझे वो
हम्म.
पता नहीं था.
हम्म.
I feel like at that point, the amount of information that we had was a
हम्म.
lot less. Internet,
हम्म.
जहाँ पे अभी where internet is now, तब नहीं था.
हम्म.
Google was not as convenient and wonderful as it is now.
हम्म. हम्म.
um, तो मुझे तब पता नहीं था कि what I was dealing with was depression. मुझे काफी टाइम लगा. It wasn't until I was about 18 years old कि मैं डॉक्टर के पास गई और मुझे पता चला कि what I'm dealing with is in fact depression.
हम्म.
तो मेरी जर्नी वैसे डिप्रेशन के साथ काफी लंबी लंबी जर्नी है.
हम्म.
It's only now in the last 2-3 years that I feel like I've made progress, because I
हम्म.
understand what I'm dealing with. I understand what I have been living with for all this time.
हम्म.
तो मेरी किताब इसी बारे में है. It's about how I've sort of dealt with depression for as long as I have, for
हम्म.
pretty much my whole adult life now.
हम्म.
It's like my diary. I'm talking about every insecurity, every vulnerability that I have, in the hope
हम्म.
that it will connect with somebody, um, and somebody will sort of hopefully be able to gain some sort of insight from what I have gone through.
Absolutely, you said it in a very right way, but at a very tender age of 12 or 13, I must say, it's very young age, है ना? और हम अंदाजा भी नहीं लगा सकते कि कोई इंसान इस तरह से डिप्रेशन का शिकार भी हो सकता है इतने छोटी उम्र में. तो जब आप इस सब से गुजरी, how did you discover that it's depression?
I mean, पहली बात तो यह है is that if you actually look at the research, most people who deal with depression, or
हम्म.
who people who end up having depression later in life, they say as
हम्म.
early as 8 years old, 8 साल की उम्र में is when it can start. For a
अच्छा.
lot of people,
हम्म.
there are signs. At least you may not start off experiencing full-blown depression at that age, but mental health issues के
हम्म.
बारे में जब हम बात करते हैं, for a lot of people,
हम्म.
it starts at a very young age, or the seeds are sown at a very young age. So it's a huge misconception कि if you're young, you don't deal with these things.
हम्म.
Um,
हम्म.
so at that age, exactly like I said, मुझे तो पता नहीं था. Internet, Google, books, we didn't really have that much
हम्म.
awareness, where now we're talking about it so much.
हम्म.
Social media has been a great boon in that way. We've been
हम्म.
talking about mental health a lot more openly than we've ever talked about it before.
हम्म.
तो उस टाइम पे I did not realize कि this is what I was going through. मुझे लगा कि there's something wrong with me. I thought कि कुछ तो मैं अलग हूँ,
गलत
अजीब
हो
सी
रहा है. हम्म.
अजीब लड़की हूँ. ऐसा I'm not as happy as the rest of the people around me, or ऐसा लगता था कि why am I like this? Why is everybody okay,
Hmm.
but something's wrong with me? So I felt broken. I felt like ऐसा there's something fundamentally not right with me.
Hmm.
Um, which I realized much later that's not the case. I went to a doctor finally. I realized that this was something that is manageable. Again, a lot of people don't realize that depression is
Hmm.
manageable. It's something that you can deal
Hmm.
with if you
Hmm.
have the tools, if you do the right things, if you talk to the right people. It's something that you can actually manage and deal with.
Hmm.
So like I said, now I feel like my journey, because I've learned about it now in the last few years, my journey has gotten better. अभी मुझे ज़्यादा awareness है.
बट आपको क्या वजह लगती है कि मतलब इतनी कम उम्र में डिप्रेशन होने की क्या वजह हो सकती है? लाइक आपने जिस तरह से मैं जानती हूँ, हमने सुना है कि यू थॉट इट वाज ड्यू टू जेनेटिक्स बिकॉज़ आपकी फैमिली में हिस्ट्री
जी
में रहा है
जी.
डिप्रेशन का।
So, I mean, depression काफी अजीब चीज है वैसे, because
हुँ,
the thing is
हुँ,
it, and that's why it's also so hard to diagnose for a lot of people, because
हुँ,
it happens for so many different reasons and it's different for
हुँ,
everybody. Not No two people will have the same type of depression for the same reason.
एब्सोल्युटली।
For
हुँ,
everybody, it looks different. That's why, because everybody, we're all individually unique people, right? All your experiences, whatever you've seen and
हुँ,
done in your life, will affect, because it's a psychological illness at the end of the day.
हुँ,
It's a medical illness, but it is psychological. That's how it represents
हुँ,
itself. So it's very hard to diagnose. For a lot of people, it can be key genetics, like you
हुँ,
said. I have genetic history of it in my family for sure. Um, it can be that you're taking medication, आप कोई दवाई ले रहे हो, जिसकी वजह से now it's affecting your hormones, and this is
हुँ,
how it
हुँ,
has started.
हुँ,
It can be कि आपकी life में कुछ traumatic incident हुआ है, you've lost somebody,
हुँ,
you've gone through a bad breakup, you've had trouble with work, with money, for so many different reasons. Literally, there are numerous causes for why one can eventually have and live with depression. For me
हुँ,
personally, मुझे लगता है कि it is a genetic thing. It started off as chemical. When you're a teenager, everybody knows that your mind and your body in general are both in complete turmoil. Your body is changing, everything around you. There's so many chemical things happening in your
हुँ,
body. तो
हुँ,
मुझे लगता है कि spark वो था, मेरे लिए वो spark था. Or
हुँ,
because it happened to me at such a young age, it became progressively more mental and more psychological,
हुँ,
because I dealt with it for such a long time. So now it's a
हुँ,
matter of also unraveling all the things that I feel like I learned, or the insecurities that it gave me, and all of those things.
हुँ। बट आई वांट टू नो लाइक आज के वक्त में भी अगर मैं सोसाइटी की बात करती हूँ तो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ मिथ्स है ना अटैच टू मेंटल इलनेसेस। लोग अलग तरह से इसको लेते हैं। स्पेशली अगर मैं फैमिलीज की भी बात करूँ तो बात करने को मना किया जाता है कि डोंट टेल एनीवन, एनी ऑफ योर फ्रेंड्स और लाइक एनी ऑफ योर पियर्स दैट यू आर गोइंग थ्रू डिप्रेशन। मैं ये जानना चाहती हूँ कि आपकी फैमिली में आपका सपोर्ट सिस्टम उस वक्त कौन रहा?
Everyone in my family,
हम्म,
my mother, my father, my sister, सब लोग. और this thing that you're saying, I think it's a cultural thing. हम हमेशा बोलते हैं कि
हम्म,
घर की बात बाहर बाहर मत जाके बोलना,
हाँ, हम्म,
घर में रहने दो, don't talk about it, which
हम्म,
I don't fundamentally agree with, because we're all dealing with the same things.
हम्म,
We're all dealing with the same things, but the problem is कोई बात नहीं करता इसके बारे में, तो हमको लगता है कि सिर्फ हम ही
हम्म,
भुगत रहे, अकेले हैं, और कोई समझ नहीं पाएगा. And it's only when you talk about it that you realize, no, everyone is dealing with it. Everyone has got some sort of fear. Everyone's got some sort of insecurity.
हम्म,
Whether it's depression or not, वो अलग बात है, लेकिन everyone's
हम्म,
dealing with something. We're all human beings at the end of the day. And
हम्म,
I feel that the more you talk about your fears, your vulnerabilities, the more you are authentically yourself, the better you become, the better the world
हम्म,
becomes, because then you're all, it's a combined effort. We're all kind of dealing with things together and not suffering on our own.
एब्सोल्युटली। अच्छा, कई लोगों को ऐसा भी लगता है कि लाइक पीपल और किड्स हु बिलोंग्स टू लाइक पिज्जा बर्गर फैमिलीज और लाइक है ना हाई क्लास फैमिलीज, उनको नहीं होता है डिप्रेशन, या उनके डिप्रेशन में जाने की क्या वजह हो सकती है? सो व्हाट डू यू हैव टू से टू देम, लाइक उनको क्या
I mean,
लगता
उल्टा आई थिंक लोग ये बोलते हैं कि सिर्फ उन लोग को फुर्सत मिलती है डिप्रेशन में जाने के लिए. You know what I mean? That a lot of people say that only people with money
है?
have time to be depressed, which
हम्म,
it's
हम्म,
categorically untrue. It's a scientific fact. Depression is a scientific fact. It is a medical
हम्म,
illness. It is real.
हम्म,
It is not
हम्म,
a made up thing. It doesn't matter आपकी lifestyle जो भी हो. It has no effect on whether or not
हम्म,
you will be somebody who experiences depression. Yes, people who have harder lives have a higher chance in a lot of ways for developing depression, because obviously circumstances contribute to it. But that does not mean people who are well off from affluent families who do not have, those issues to contend with will not deal with depression. It's a scientific fact. It's real. It's an illness. And like I said, it depends. Genetics ke upar, whatever your life experiences ke upar, it depends on so many different things, and it's a lottery really. And India is considered to be one of the most depressed countries in the world. We have one
Yes,
of the highest
absolutely.
rates of depression in the world, which is not at all surprising. It's the next big epidemic, pandemic, is mental health, especially now after the last 18 months.
अच्छा, 6 साल तक जब आप इस चीज से गुजरती रही, तो हु वाज द फर्स्ट पर्सन विद होम यू डिस्कस कि आप इस तरह से कुछ महसूस करते हो?
आई मीन उस टाइम पे तो मेरी बेस्ट फ्रेंड ही थी, उसका नाम भी नमिता है.
अच्छा.
उससे ही बात करती थी, बिकॉज लाइक आई सेड एट दैट एज आई फेल्ट लाइक देयर समथिंग रॉन्ग विद मी. तो मुझे कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं था. आई डिडंट फील लाइक आई कुड टॉक अबाउट इट. आई फेल्ट लाइक इफ आई टॉक अबाउट इट, that it's a this I'm exposing that there's something wrong with me, that it's a weakness. So I used to talk to my best friend. Problem क्या था कि मैं 12 साल की थी, वो भी 12 साल की थी. तो obviously at that age,
same wavelength.
but also your 12-year-old friend cannot help you when you're dealing with something as big as depression. So as helpful as it was, I needed obviously more help. तो मेरी फैमिली भी उनसे भी बहुत बात करती थी मैं, लेकिन नॉट specifically about this is exactly what's happening, but they noticed, they knew that something kuch to off tha. And my parents always helped me. My mother was the first person who took me to a psychiatrist when she realized that I needed, when we realized that I needed to get help. My father's always been a huge support system. My sister at the time was very young, so at that time I couldn't really talk to her, but now obviously everyone in my family is a huge support.
एब्सोल्युटली. अच्छा, आपने कब डिसाइड किया कि इस पर बुक लिखना चाहिए, लाइक 2019 में जाके?
मैंने डिसाइड नहीं किया. इट टोटली हैपेंड बाय एक्सीडेंट. मैंने एक बार इंस्टाग्राम पे एक पोस्ट लिखा था क्योंकि आई वाज हैविंग अ बैड डे, एंड ऐसे भी आई वाज लुकिंग एट पिक्चर्स के कुछ पोस्ट करना चाहिए. काफी अभी एक हफ्ता हो गया कुछ पोस्ट नहीं किया. इंस्टाग्राम एंग्जाइटी होता है ना, वो था. तो I realized that whatever I was looking to post was not how I was feeling. I was looking to post a happy picture when I was not feeling happy. So I was like, ठीक है, post कर लेते, लेकिन let me talk about how I'm actually feeling in that post. So I talked about the fact that I was dealing with depression, and this is something, not that I ever hid it, but I never talked about it openly. So I said, chalo, let me talk about it openly. And I did. And the response to that post was so huge. I got so many messages. I got so many calls. I got, I got such intense feedback from that. And uske baad, my publishers came to me and asked me if I wanted to write a book. And I realized that obviously abhi Instagram post se agar itna fark pad sakta hai kisi ko, obviously if I write a book now, can you imagine what that can do? So it was never part of my plan. I never decided to. It came to me and I said it made complete sense to me in that moment to do it, because I realized that it was just something that I felt like I had almost a duty to talk about.
And it happened to you just like that.
Yeah.
In fact, मैं ये भी आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी, how much do you think is to talk about this issue very openly is of utmost importance, I mean, in today's time, because nobody comes up and talks about depression or mental health or mental illness आज के वक्त में भी.
To my mind, it's the most important thing that you can do, because the only way, like I said, we all are dealing with things where we all think we're the only ones dealing with them because nobody's talking about it. And see how much of a difference it makes if if you are just talking to a friend and you share a bad experience with a friend one-on-one, they'll also say, oh, I went through something similar, and then you bond over it, right? It's how human beings connect. We connect not only over positive happy things, we connect over hardships, we connect over things that are tough for us, and it's through other people's experiences of things that are tough that you can better your experience. If I'm talking about my depression today, it's in the hope that somebody will not have to wait 6 or 7 years to go and get help and then realize that acha depression hai, and then go through the long journey of trying to work at it. I'm hoping that I'll tell you this is what I did and this is where I stumbled, but you can do it better because I'm talking about it. And I think it makes all the difference. It's sharing is, I think, the most important thing. मुझे oversharing ये जो शब्द है ना, मुझे पसंद नहीं है बिल्कुल. There's no thing as oversharing, there's only sharing. And I think sharing is always good, no matter what.
तभी कहते हैं sharing is caring.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
At the end, want to ask you, like, what do you think are the ways to cope up with this or to deal with depression?
तो आई मीन मेरे लिए काफी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है. आई गो टू थेरेपी. आई
Yeah.
आई एट वन पॉइंट आई नीडेड मेडिकेशन, सो आई यूज्ड टू टेक मेडिकेशन. um I think it's important to just be aware of yourself. You are the best judge of what's going on with you always. We are
Obviously.
always the best judges. If you
Hmm.
feel something is off, something is off. If you feel
Hmm.
something is off, go talk to somebody. You don't have to go talk straight to a psychiatrist and talk to a psychiatrist. You talk to a therapist.
Hmm.
Therapy is amazing. It's nothing but talking to somebody who is unbiased about your life, who helps you understand why you behave the way you behave, gives you ways to cope with the daily struggles or the daily challenges that you have in your life and help you cope with them better. um, so just be aware. I think just be very aware of exactly how you're feeling. Talk to people. Number one is the thing I'll always say. Don't bottle things up. Talk to people.